Hello, fermented folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it. I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry.
this is it right here. Hello, fermented folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we discuss the best works in the genre fiction realm, whether it be film, whether it be books, whether it be TV shows, and drink with each other, and of course, argue with our fantastic guests. Said guest tonight is Alyssa Alessi, a good friend of mine from StokerCon every year. We always have a good time hanging out at the hotel bar, and I'm excited to hang out with you here tonight. Alyssa, how's it going? Didn't mean to out you just right away, but
thanks so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. It'll be cool to have other people join the conversation instead of just you and I at the bar talking shit.
Right.
So.
Look, it's really not our fault that we just have so much stamina. You know, we have a lot of stamina, and we're still out there. We're still out there doing it. We're going on graveyard nighttime hunts for ghosts. We do a lot of fun things. So, and this year we'll be at StokerCon, so you can hang with all of us there live. That's going to be a lot of fun. Alyssa's awesome. She is the founder and the facilitator for the annual Spooktastic Book Fair, which is a huge author event and lots of selling and panels and all kinds of cool stuff. She's over there in Farmington, right? That's where Spooktastic
Boston,
is?
Mass. It's in
Boston, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And being in Boston, like basically all the horror writers live there. So you could probably go there and meet your favorite horror writer because she always gets really fantastic guests, especially if it's her, because she's definitely there. And she's also a writer of middle grade stuff and short fiction that gets a lot darker and weirder, I can now attest. So I'm looking forward to reading what you write for the Crypticon anthology. That's going to be a good time. In the meantime, she has a story in the rack that is really good. All right, let's get into this thing. Speaking of things that are really good, or perhaps you don't agree. But tonight we're going to be debating Stranger Things. Enough people think it's really good that here we are still talking about it 5 seasons later. But we had Robert O'Tone on a couple weeks ago, and he did not agree. So we'll see where the dice gods put us. Before we do that, we'll start the show the way we start it all the time. Even though it's almost a new year, we're going to keep the same old shit going. Because that's what we're doing around here. That's our personal updates. We'll go around with your usual host first, and then we'll end with Alyssa so she can tell you a little bit more about who she is. Travis, how were your holidays? What's new?
Holidays were good. I mean, would have been better if I could spent it with you and the fam, but you know, sometimes work happens. My wife had to work, but we hosted a bunch of her coworkers that also had to stay in town to bartend and such, and had a raucous time. And then my big news today is that we had our first Meathead Media live stream just this morning. So it's a double episode day for me. We used this platform, which is probably why Clayton had to change a bunch of things back. So sorry. But we did a tier list of the best movie or the top 50 movies of 2025, according to a website I found. We tier listed them, kind of gave our personal opinions, and then gave our top 5. Which mine were number 5, Black Bag, Steven Soderbergh's spy thriller. Big fan of that one. Number 4, Bring Her Back, which you've heard me gush about on her. Number 3, I gave to Begonia. Number 2, I gave to Marty Supreme, which I just watched last weekend. Loved it. And then my favorite movie of the year, surprised the heck out of me, was Knives Out, Wake Up, Dead Man. Big fan of that one. I love
Wow.
It's cool for me.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, a Catholic priest character done right is a rarity. And I was a very big fan of the Father Judd character on that Netflix movie. So that was my top 5. And if you want to watch Zeb and our guests' top 5 and our tier ranking, go to the Fermented Fiction YouTube and you'll see it on there under the Meathead Media year-end review.
Yeah. That's on the Fermented Fiction channel on YouTube as well, so you can always go check that out. They do a great job over there at Meathead Media reviewing movies. They do a review every week, so that's kind of another branch of Fermented Fiction. Go check it out. Give them a listen. I haven't listened to the live stream yet, but I'm excited to see that it exists, and I'm going to do so very soon. Jeremy, what's new with you, buddy?
Oh, hey. So I'm gonna, I don't often come prepared with updates that will just be right there off the top of my head, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer the question from Lions here in the chat, who asked, "Hey, how's it going?" Well, I'll tell you.
Yes.
And thank you for asking. Well, last Saturday I broke my ankle. Now that is, thank you. Thank you. I do my best. That is, for anybody keeping track, that is break number 5 or 6, depending how you count it. It's fifth break, but it is the 6th bone.
Hey, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I know,
trying
right?
something new.
Yeah, exactly. Trying something new is that, in addition to breaking the bone, I also tore a ligament, so I'm having surgery
Jeez.
literally tomorrow.
What were you doing?
Ah, well, you see, the story begins, as many stories often do, with the dog pooping blood. So we
Oh.
were taking her to the vet, and on the way to my car, just slipped on the ice and twisted the fuck out of my ankle.
Jeez.
Got absolutely no fuck left in it.
Oh my god, dude.
Which vet do you use? I'm asking because I have a friend that works at the emergency vet in Bozeman.
Mhm.
Oh, what was it? It's like 360 something.
Well, possibly my friend helped your dog not poop blood. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope your dog is no longer pooping blood, and
No,
I'm sorry
she's not
about.
pooping any blood anymore. She's doing great.
good.
Oh,
She's
good,
fine.
good. Well, that's the important thing. I am
I
sorry
know,
to hear
right?
about your ankle, though.
Are
I
you?
hope you recover quickly, buddy.
Huh.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah. Are you do you have to be in a boot then right now, or you just have it braced?
I'm in a boot, and I've got and I got this fun hands-free crutch that
Oh.
I look like this when I'm wearing it.
Nice.
So, oh wait,
Fantastic.
that's for the vertical viewers right there. I centered it for you.
It's also
Yeah.
for the viewers in general. If you're listening, Jeremy just showed us a picture of him in that cast.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty fun.
You don't get
people
to
think
enjoy
I'm
that.
an amputee. Say what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not on YouTube, then you don't get to enjoy that nearly as much as we did. But hey, this episode will be there. You can always go check it
It
out.
will.
Your timestamp's about 8:30. So yeah, go check it out. But
check it
you
out.
know what? It would be more fun than that is learning about Alyssa. But you're gonna have to wait for one more personal update. My personal update is this: I'm 35 now.
woo!
Way to go.
Take
I
that,
knew you
Jeff.
could do it.
35 years running, and you
Wow.
still can't catch me, little bitch. Fucking good luck. I'm gonna keep on going and keep on. Yeah.
There you go, man.
Yeah, take that, Death. You can't even fucking. You don't want this smoke. It'll get me eventually, probably next year. Now that I talked all that shit, let's find out.
Let's hope.
Keep on doing the show and keep on partying, and arguing with good people, and inviting all this super positive energy into my life. Alyssa, speaking of super positive energy, you are bringing that to the show today.
Oh, thank you.
So can you tell the good people of the Fermented universe who you are, what you do, and what you're most excited about for the new year?
Well, my name is Alyssa Alessi. I write a lot of weird shit, usually with some sort of feminine rage thrown in there somewhere. I run this Booktastic book fair, like you've mentioned before. I try to do as much community work as I can, to be honest, even if it's just like a small author event in my neighborhood. I have a lot of fun with that. For the new year, I'm looking forward to StokerCon, hanging out with you guys. And I'm actually going on a writer's retreat with two of my really cool friends who I actually met in person for the first time at StokerCon, Amanda Castile and Monique Asher. So we have a little girls trip planned for next month.
Oh, that'll be awesome. That'll be a great group.
I don't know how much writing will get done, but I hope at that point I'm finishing up the story for the Crypticon. Though.
Nice. Where are you guys going to go retreat to? Do you know? Or is that
The
top
White
secret?
Mountains of New Hampshire.
Ah, okay. Nice. I love a good cold weather retreat, and I feel like the world is a lot quieter in the cold seasons, especially if you go out to the mountains. So hopefully that's beneficial. Or you'll just want to drink too much whiskey and stay warm. Those are both good options, though, and both potential mechanisms for inspiration.
I'm gonna try to get them to go snow tubing, like drunk snow tubing. I don't know if they're down, but I'm gonna try.
I think the key to that, Alyssa, is the drunk first.
Yes.
Then you're like, let's go snow tubing. And everyone's like, fuck yeah.
Exactly.
I think so.
There's an order of operations here, and it's crucial.
Absolutely. Maybe you could get them outside sitting in the tubes too, having a few drinks, just like say you just want to go enjoy the nature, and then you'll be out there. They're already in the tubes. You'll be like 2/3 of the way there.
Or maybe like Pavlov them. Like, I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but like you introduce it early sober, like, hey, I thought about snow tubing. Like, it's something we could do. And then keep saying it. And then when they get drunk, they'll be the ones that are like, snow tubing sounds so fun.
They're gonna tell me to shut up.
You think so? You think they just don't want that smoke at all?
Yeah. We'll probably do some like ghost hunting, some writing, some drinking, some eating. I don't know.
Certainly.
I just went to a party with a bunch of my friends and we had too much to drink, but at the end of the night, it always ends up being me and my friend Dan, and we like to watch like Nuke's top 5 ghost videos and fall asleep.
Oh yeah.
And we fell asleep to that, but then that happens. I wake up at like 2 a.m. like hungover to the sound of ghost hunting videos in the background, just like anyone there, and I'm like, what is going on? Not pleasant.
I have definitely had that experience. Definitely love me some Nukes or some Bizarre Bub. If you don't know about Bizarre Bub, he's I'm not sure what he's got going on with his narration style. Something's going on for sure, but he's so he's not necessarily as good of a narrator as Nuke, but he gets more videos and he just lets them run. He doesn't edit them. So there's like a lot of, he edits them a little, but not nearly as much as Nuke. So there's some long cuts and it actually makes them a lot scarier because you do know something will eventually come or the video wouldn't be there. But the worst thing that happened to me in that experience was falling asleep to Nukes and waking up to those videos that are like top 10 scariest camping encounters or whatever that are like real encounters.
Yep.
And I'm just like, that's not what I want to watch, especially not subconsciously.
I don't want that playing on a loop in my head while I'm sleeping.
No,
I had
it's
to
a very
go down
different vibe.
Alyssa. You opened it.
Yeah, that's on you, Alyssa. You opened the gate, just like 11. That was some 11 style bullshit right there. But we're glad to have you on the show. We forgive you. We'll move on to what this show is actually about and for tonight. And that is to debate Stranger Things. Now, we all know about Stranger Things. We're coming on season 5. So if you watch any kind of streaming TV that's in any way related to Netflix or could be tied to Netflix or could be advertised to by Netflix, you know that Stranger Things season 5 is coming. And if you've been watching football, then you really know. If you watched it on Christmas Day on the Netflix stream, they literally had a series of, I think we counted 10 or 12 commercials that was Stranger Things. And they were all different. One was for like laundry detergent. One was for like literally Stranger Things. One was for cereal. So it was fun, kind of. And they were all 80s style. So that was kind of fun. But the point is, we all know it's coming. That's why we feel it's important to take you back 4 seasons here to a show that started as perhaps a member-berry show, perhaps a show to make us think of times of yore in the times of now that people were maybe not so stoked about. I believe it was COVID. So it did air in COVID, right? Or when did season
It was
one
a little
officially
earlier.
air?
I think the first season was a little earlier, but
2016. Yeah, so quite a bit
but
earlier.
it definitely got a second wind in the COVID times when Netflix
In
became
COVID, yeah.
everybody's little comfort corner.
Uh-huh.
This and Tiger King got numbers during COVID.
yeah. That's an interesting vibe as well. Just those two things just going completely off.
Yeah.
I guess to me, I kind of watched it during COVID, but it got a big resurgence, got a 5th season. And we're gonna go through it. If you don't know about Stranger Things, it's every 80s movie you've ever seen being redone as a horror movie. That's pretty much it. It's all the way. I mean, it's literally genred as nostalgia on Netflix. So that is what it is. The first season is kind of it, essentially. Creepy thing comes to town and kids start disappearing, and the kids themselves have to save the day. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. If you don't know, we spoil everything on this show. This show is nearly 10 years old, so if you haven't seen it, you could go back and do that now. Hopefully you have. If you want to leave, though, we shall forgive you. Now, we're going to roll some dice, and that's going to determine our positions. We don't actually get to choose on this show. The dice gods get to choose. Alyssa is going to be debating me. And Alyssa, are you ready to roll some dice?
Do you have a dice, or do you need us to roll for you?
I need you to roll for me.
All right.
We got you.
Jeremy, you do it, because I don't have my physical dice with me today.
It's okay. I got this real big one.
I packed them in my Christmas bag, and I haven't unpacked.
Ooh. That's numbers.
Is that a good number or a bad number, Jeremy?
It's a number. I don't know. How good does it have to be?
What'd you roll?
It has to be at least an 11, which is really fitting. I rolled an 11. That's great.
That is.
Hey,
that is.
that's really good. And it's way better than my 6.
Okay,
So-
the 11-1.
yeah.
I mean, it was destined. The 11-1.
I mean, that's kind of...
I mean, did you watch the show? You know, that's what happens.
Yeah. It's kind
Spoiler alert, 11's going to kick ass eventually.
11's
Every
going to
season.
win. Alyssa, that
is
means
your
you have
nose bleeding? What's
Are
going
you-
on, Clay?
vehemently against Stranger Things season 1. So I hope you brought some points prepared to tear this thing apart, because that's going to be your job. And Clayton's going to start us off with our 10-minute debate, because he is going to defend Stranger Things season 1. Jeremy and I are going to kick ourselves off here, but I will let you know when your 10-minute timer has begun. If you're ready to debate, are you both ready?
I'm ready.
You ready, Alyssa?
I mean, I didn't know which side I was debating really, but I figured I'll figure it out after Clay starts talking. So I'm good.
That's the
Sounds good.
spirit.
Thank you for
Jer-
checking.
All right. Clay,
Jeremy
bring
was
us
your
in.
champion, unfortunately.
Bring us
Yeah.
in with the positive. I'm starting your timer in 3, 2, 1. Debate.
Okay. So I know that the argument against this show is probably going to involve somehow that it's derivative or that it is just a nostalgia member-berry show. I know that this is how Travis feels about it, but I think it's important to keep the echoes of like cultural time periods, artistically speaking, alive. And you have to do that by reintroducing them into new story formats. I don't necessarily think that this is a new story format or any type of a super original story. It's all sort of boilerplate. A lot of it's been done before in season 1, but I don't think that's necessarily detrimental, because I think they do it, you know, for another new generation of people to experience those same things. But I still think it observes a level of cultural sensibility that the 80s didn't, and does it relatively subtly because they're still so steeped in the 80s nostalgia era and this love letter to 80s cinema that this movie is. I also think it's just it's a fun, fast-paced, well-written story with relatable characters who are, and it's very easy to follow along with the plot, to follow along with everything the movie's trying to do, both from a structural standpoint and from a visual standpoint. It's also got a great lighting department. I remember when I saw this movie, and I should have known it was before COVID because of this, but I was actually working in film and thinking about lighting a lot more. And so this movie actually, or this show really got me early on because it had so much fun with its lighting design and its set design. And I love the amount of practical effect and stuff that they did with that. So that's my opening points. Alyssa.
It's funny that you kept saying movie because exactly what I was thinking. This could have been done as a movie. There was no need to drag this out into 8 episodes of people crying and struggling with grief the entire time. Like, it's labeled as nostalgia. It should be labeled as grief horror. Everyone is just struggling with grief the entire time to the point where Joyce, the mom, is just totally delirious, like batshit nuts, stringing up lights, saying she's communicating to her son, is missing people, and then just you're saying it's easy to follow the plot, which I just felt like there was way too much going on at all times. And believe it or not, my biggest beef with this show was how welcoming Mike was to 11, because your best friend is missing and this random chick shows up and you're just gung-ho, let's help 11. Like, your best friend is missing. You're 12 years old or 11 years old. Like, nothing matters more than your best friend. So I just wasn't buying that. But even before he knew 11 could help in any type of way. That was my biggest beef. Like, no way. Never mind the kids on bikes. The kids on bikes, like, played out as hell. Like, I know you're going for nostalgia, but come on, the kids on bikes thing. But my biggest beef was Mike just like totally going in and being like, 11, we're gonna help her. Like, no way, kid. Like, your best friend is missing. That's your first priority.
True. I'm going to have to real quick push back on that bike point, just because I think it's a very efficient, environmentally conscious form of transportation, that should definitely be encouraged in the youth. So go out and ride your bikes, kids. And then you'll be ready to fight monsters when they show up in your town. Like these kids were. And it's got kind of a fun element of a story within a story that worked for me too. Like, I like that they're playing a D&D campaign. They're kind of like kids do, seeing themselves as those characters in real life. And it's sort of interesting to see a story built around what if those kids were truly dropped into that scenario with that mindset in that age. So I thought that was a lot of fun as well. I totally do have to agree with you. I definitely have to concede that point about 11. I do think her showing up and him being like, oh, well, he's just some guy, It was definitely a little fucked up. But I think the writers would argue something to the effect of, it's love, and young boys can do that for girls. I mean, I will say that you can definitely lose track of everything else in your life. But I do find it hard to believe that it would happen at that specific time. If, like you said, they had told right away that, like, oh yeah, she can definitely help you find Will, then that would be different. That said, these are stories, right? So, like, sometimes I think it's important that we just sort of suspend that disbelief in order to enjoy the ride. And I think this show makes it really easy to do that because it's such a well-built show all the way around the story that maybe isn't the strongest aspect of it.
I also think it was, like, really easy to get sick of the D&D references. I'm like, okay, I get it. They're related, but, like, I don't know if every single play needed to connect.
So you hate D&D? Is that your official stance on D&D, or?
I've never played D&D.
Oh, okay.
So I went into this as someone who doesn't know shit about it. And I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, you're playing this game, but, like, every single time something happened, you were like going back to that board.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's also a fair point, and I think maybe largely that plays to your initial point too. If this could have been done as a movie, I do think there are elements of this show that are a little bit stretched. However, I do think that season one specifically uses those down the line in the show to build upon as a pretty solid foundation. So I think they maybe lay a little bit more foundation than they need to, but ultimately it kind of pays off as you get further into the show. And I think season one does its job, which is like it's plenty interesting to keep you watching. And the show does get much better in 2, 3, 4, I think, particularly like 4. I'm enjoying quite a bit. I'm not the biggest fan of 3, maybe the hive mind story, but that's just because I don't know. I've seen that so many times. But I don't know. You don't think it pays off later? Do you think it pays off later in the show, or do you just sort of think it's
No,
a bummer all around?
I got increasingly tired of them doing that.
Fair enough.
But I've never played D&D, so maybe that's why. Maybe it's just me. It's a me problem. I don't know.
I mean, that's fair. It's certainly not for everybody. I'm sure you're out doing cool shit.
No.
That's what I like to believe.
No, I was out. I mean, all my friends were boys at the time. So talking about like boys like falling in love and doing the extreme or something at that time. All of my friends were boys. We were out like playing street hockey. We were roller skating, rollerblading, wrestling. Wrestling was like major at that time. It was all about like fuck it and fucking Steve Austin, right?
Sure.
I'm 2 years older than you. You just said you turned 35. I'm 37.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all my friends were guys, and they would like sell me for a piece of candy. So I don't.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So you're like, there's no way they're watching out for 11 like that.
No. But aside from that, the upside down bleeding into reality, it was just a little bit hard to follow. At some points, it was just like, oh, the lights are going off, but then only Joyce could see that the monsters are coming through the wall. I feel like, why wasn't anyone else seeing that? Why was it kind of first making it look like only Joyce could see this?
Right. It was you didn't see any power outages throughout the city or anything, but I do think in early season 1, I think that was on purpose. I think they were keeping it kind of to an isolated area, and it seems like it's kind of spreading out further and further each season. But the whole town doesn't generally seem to be affected. At least that's how I understood it. I like that idea of an alternate reality and sort of a sickness inside of the earth that's growing in it. That was kind of an interesting idea to me for a nice cosmic horror angle. And I do feel like the first season in particular is much more cosmic horror because you're still fearing the unknown. You still don't understand the upside down. And that maybe falls off a little bit after season 1, where the more you understand the upside down, or at least understand how to defeat it, which is just shut the portal, right? So once you know that, then you kind of have an idea of, oh, you just can't let it in, but it is still building up there. But I do think that lends to the horror well, because it gives it a sort of a longevity and an echo out.
Shut up, Clay. We're done. It is
Okay.
the drink of the week.
Yeah, shut up, everybody.
Drink of the week. Good discussion. Good debate.
Way to
Very
go.
important. Very nice. I like it. And I think good points on both sides. I got some good questions out of that. But before we get into those questions, we have a couple segments we always do. First one being, what are we drinking? Right?
Yeah.
On this year's show. Jeremy, what did you bring post-Christmas?
Hi, guys. Post-Christmas. Yes, post-Christmas. Well, what I've got here is this Teeling small batch Irish whiskey, and pouring that into some of this lemon lime sparkling ice, and it's delightful.
Nice.
Oh, my dog barked. Clay.
He wants to get in on that.
Yeah, he does.
I
He's
have
not 21 yet, though. I tell him that all the time when he tries to steal my beer. I'm like, you're only 2. Can't have no beer yet.
It works every time on pets for the most part, and if it stops working on your pet, then they shouldn't be drinking beer anyway.
Shouldn't be.
By the time they can do it, it's not really fair to them, to be honest. But Ellie didn't drink any of my black wheat porters. She didn't help me out at all. So I have a couple left over. That's a nice porter from Bend, Oregon, if you've never been over to the PNW. But this is kind of pretty popular beer around here. You can find it on tap in a bunch of places. It's really good.
Nice.
I have
Alyssa, what did you bring to the fermented fiction?
I'm drinking this glass of Woodford Reserve.
Nice.
With this is gross, but I'm gonna stick my finger in this to show you my ice.
Ooh.
And it is a metal bullet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It keeps
That's
your
sweet.
drink cold without watering it down.
That's
All
sweet.
right.
And I'm drinking this because I feel like Hopper would drink this.
With the bullet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With a bullet in it. Yeah.
For sure. With the bullet.
So
My
in
wife-
honor of-
My wife made a Woodford Reserve soaked, like cask strength Woodford Reserve soaked cherries and we were like passing them around for the Christmas party. She left them in there a while. They were strong. They hurt to bite into, but it was delicious. I'm drinking my new favorite cocktail, which is a tequila old fashioned. Something about the like smokiness, especially of mezcal and bitters and simple syrup. Really, really, really nice. I love a standard old fashioned with bourbon because I love bourbon. But if you've never had a tequila old fashioned, especially with mezcal, really good stuff. And then I'm following that up after I finish it with just some classic Rainier, because that's good beer.
There you go,
Good,
man.
bad beer. Very good.
I was going to say that's one thing to call it.
It's not the best of the bad beers. I still stand by that being PBR, but it's up there. All right. And now, people, I have 10 facts about Stranger Things. There's a lot more than 10. If you have more, please hop in there. I kind of left out a lot of the like Easter eggs because a lot of the show is Easter eggs and some of them are very fun. I picked 2 of my favorites, but I tried to focus on more of the production facts that I found interesting. So, number 1, Steve Perry, the former lead vocalist for Journey, has said that the Stranger Things Season 4 remix of Journey's 1980s smash hit Separate Ways was done pretty much the way he originally wanted it to be done in the 80s. But he lacked the technology. He was so impressed that he even helped with the development of the remix, which is really cool. This show has a story, unfortunately, many shows have, of being sued for stealing an idea from a filmmaker in 2018 who said that he made a short film called Montauk, where similarly a missing boy, a nearby military base doing otherworldly experiments, and a monster from another dimension. They won the lawsuit, and I wonder if it's just because like that's a lot of stories.
Yeah,
that could have also
a generic story.
That could have also been what was the J.J. Abrams movie in 2000 mid 2000s. Super 8.
Super 8.
Yeah,
Yep.
Super 8. Same story. Like I'm like, I don't know how he thought he could win that lawsuit, but he didn't. And the Duffers won, having full proof that they independently came up with the idea of Stranger Things, hadn't even seen the short film. Fans found Joseph Quinn's Spotify profile and discovered that he made a variety of Stranger Things related playlists, one for Eddie and others for his friends and co-stars Joe Keery, Gatton Matarazzo, and Maya Hawke. So he's got a bunch of Stranger Things themed playlists out there. Maybe if you find it, you can discover those as well. Especially cool since Joseph Quinn is blowing the hell up after Gladiator 2. Within its first month, the 3rd season was watched by 64 million households, setting a new record for the most watched original Netflix series. Millie Bobby Brown revealed in an interview with Vanity Fair in November of 2022 that her kiss with Finn Wolfhard in the 1st season was her first kiss ever. She also pointed out that he was a lousy kisser, which he was okay with because he also stated that was his first kiss and he probably didn't know what he was doing. So
No.
both of them shared that moment on screen, which is always weird to me, but maybe cute. I don't know. It was announced in March 22 that season 5 would be its last. And the reason I found this interesting is it was a shock to the cast because they were not told that that would be the last season ahead of time. They learned about it when the news went public. And I'm curious, there's been a lot of articles speculating that it's a fake out last season, that they're actually going to do some spin-offs or some extra stuff coming. We'll see. The state trooper guarding the morgue, here's one of the Easter eggs I included, is reading Cujo by Stephen King. This is one of the shows many hat tips to the author's work. They have a lot of Stephen King references, clearly one of their primary influences for the script and for the general vibe. Clayton even mentioned in his debate that the first season is kind of just it. And it is. Yeah, we'll talk about that. In the pilot script, this one I found very fun. Steve Harrington was written as, quote, the biggest douche on the planet. Going so far as to originally be like rape Nancy Wheeler. The character changed, though, when actor Joe Keery turned out to be much more likable and charming than the Duffer Brothers originally had envisioned. So there's a couple stories out there of that where it's like originally a villain or originally just a write-off character, but they love the actor so much, so like, all right, we got to change that, and that was one of them. And now we have the Steve that we have, who turns out to be one of my favorite characters in the series. Billy Hargrove's license plate number, PCE235, sorry for my dog, is a nod to Jack Burton's Truck Pork Chop Express and John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. I included that one because I feel like that is an underseen movie these days. If you have not seen Big Trouble in Little China, go check it out. It's a hilarious parody of Mortal Kombat and just a bonkers movie. And the last fact I have is that Nancy is always wearing stripes during the final battles of every season thus far. So we'll see if that holds up for season 5, that Nancy is always in stripes. Does anyone else have facts for fermented facts?
I would like to say something about Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
Just add to how he turned out to be such a cool character that he kind of turned into an anti-villain, right? He was supposed to die in the first season, and they decided
Hell yeah,
to
go
keep him.
Steve.
Yeah. I thought that was so cool. And my teenage daughter told me that because she's obsessed with him. And I just learned that he's also in a band, which I didn't know.
He looks like he'd shred,
I mean, yeah, he's got the hair of like a Bananas bass player. So.
Yeah.
He's got that vibe too. I could definitely see him thumping the bass. That's awesome. Like sort of the Jesse Pinkman story. Always a fan of those two. And Steve turns out to be one of my favorite characters. While I was getting back into this, the algorithm told its friends, that I must really like Stranger Things. So I started getting a bunch of memes. And one that I saw a lot was like, okay, why exactly are we supposed to root for Will in season 1? Like, he takes pictures of people without their consent. He's like following people around, literally stalking Nancy. Steve actually shows up and is like pretty emotionally available for her even at one point.
Oh, wait, Jonathan?
Yeah, Jonathan.
Or I said Will. Sorry, Will's great. Will. Yeah, we can root for Will. Jonathan. Yeah, why are we? That's why you cracked up so hard. You're like, yeah, fuck Will. But no.
Yeah, just let him stay missing. Screw him.
Let him cook. Let's see where this goes.
Come back.
All these other characters around. Who is this?
Oh, this is my dog Cheeky. She feels the need to interrupt every Zoom or meeting or anything.
Yeah, she seems important. Yeah,
got to pay the dog tax. Thanks for coming on the show. But yeah, it was a funny meme. Like, why are we rooting for Jonathan exactly? Steve actually is a pretty decent boyfriend for the most part. Like he's
Yeah,
a
he
really
ends up
big
okay.
douche to Will, or I keep saying Will to Jonathan, when he destroys his camera, obviously, and then he's a douche in the alley. But for the rest of like season 1, he's not that bad of a dude. Honestly.
I mean, he's kind of a douche for the hookup and like her friend dying in the pool while they,
Yeah, a little bit.
get busy.
That's totally not his fault. I don't really see that as his fault.
That's
I feel
And
like
he
that is
doesn't
a
even
very
know
that was
she's
a
dead for like the whole first season.
yes.
Like he never finds that out.
No.
Yeah, they don't even know for sure. Even in season 2, that's the first episode of season 2. They're going to her house to eat with her parents, and her parents are like, "We're going to sell our house to hire a private investigator." And they're like, "Oh, yeah." But I don't. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you do it. You do it.
I would defend Steve in those situations because he
Mhm.
smashed that camera because he thought Jonathan was being a complete perv.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're taking pictures of my girlfriend," like smash.
And he certainly was. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
literally
we didn't,
did
like,
that.
figure out Jonathan, and we didn't like feel bad for him and like know that his brother was missing and all of these things. It would be like, yeah, you creep. So he was right for that.
I mean, I didn't feel bad enough for him to not wonder, like, wait, your brother is missing, presumed dead, and you're just taking pictures of people through their windows?
Right?
What's
true.
this about?
Yep, it's the standard trope. If it's creepy, unless you find them hot, then it's not creepy anymore.
Don't worry, I don't.
It's still creepy, regardless of how you find them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was an interesting observation and a good fact.
For sure. Any other fermented facts before we move on to our true opinions?
I assume this was a box office success. There is no box office, but
there is no box office, but this is a smashing TV success. Yes. I think that was one of my facts was the third season like broke all the records for Netflix.
Right.
Streaming. The first season and second season had really high numbers, but that third season hit kind of right towards the beginning of COVID, and it was like everybody's indoors. They want to watch their favorite show again and want to rewatch the first 2 seasons. And season 4 also did huge numbers. And I'm going to get into that because I think I credit that to 2 additions that were just absolutely fantastic to the show. And then season 5, volume 1 really hit hard. Volume 2 did too, but the discourse I'm seeing online is a little bit of a people are afraid we're getting a Game of Thrones part 2. That the finale is not going to live up to expectations of the rest of the show. I have not watched yet, but that is a lot of what I'm seeing on social medias that I don't have, but like YouTube essays that talk about the social medias that I don't have. Talking about, yeah, we're a little scared that they don't know how to finish this, how to land this plane, and we'll see. But
we will.
But yes, it has definitely been one of the most successful shows of the last 10 years. Stranger Things is going to be in the cultural zeitgeist, whether people like it or not.
Yes.
Great. Clayton, you defended, so you don't get to go first. Alyssa, you attacked Stranger Things, so we're all incredibly curious. What do you actually think about Stranger Things, especially season 1? But if you want to talk about the whole show, were you lying, or do you think this show is trash?
Some of the things that I said were true, but I love Stranger Things season 1. I think that the show could carry itself just on the vibes alone. Even if the plot was total trash, like it would be fine with just the vibes. I live for a vibe. So I love it. So I was kidding.
Just playing Stranger Things. You know,
Yeah,
we
the
love you.
sadness, the re-pour, like I love that shit. Are you kidding me? I was
I
like,
kind of felt like I noticed as soon as I saw your sweater. Like,
yeah.
like, she definitely hate Stranger Things.
I think
There
it's funny
you
that you
go.
said the next Game of Thrones because obviously I loved Game of Thrones and I loved the first season, where I loved the first season of Stranger Things, but I feel like it started losing me as each season goes. I'm like, I'm just not as into it. The vibes are still there, but nothing beats the first season so far.
Yeah.
Being
Jeremy.
introduced to those
Oh, sorry.
characters. No, go ahead.
Clay, actually, because he was part of the debate, and then we'll go to you, Jeremy.
Yeah. I actually feel sort of the other way about it. I feel like the writing of the dialogue and the chemistry between the characters and stuff has gotten a lot stronger throughout the rest of the show. And so since I usually can recognize, okay, because basically every season is a different form, you know, of the of the upside down manifesting itself in the world. So like the first season is very much that cosmic horror. It's kind of the portal sort of is the monster. Like you've got your Demogorgon, but the real monster is the portal itself, like the entrance and the other dimension that's sort of cracking through. And then season 2, you do have a lot more of your straight up monster horror coming out and spilling in and getting like 100 demodogs. And then you also have Sean Astin, I mean, just being awesome. So that levels up the show substantially as well. And then the next one's Freddy Krueger. So it's just like you're just continually doing sort of horror tropes. So I guess as long as the vibes remain consistent and the chemistry and performances continue to evolve, I've enjoyed that aspect of the show and see it as an improvement for sure. I think that the team that makes Stranger Things has gotten better at making it. The first one, I got to be honest, like if I would have had to debate against it, I would have went after the performances a little bit. I do have a hard time watching some of the acting in season 1, specifically Winona Ryder. I had a hard time with season 1 Joyce. Just like her expression is kind of just the same every time she has any emotion, and all her emotions are just like, I like how her character is written. I love the grief horror. And she's not bad when she's by herself, but I just feel like she didn't have a lot of chemistry with other people on screen, and I'm not exactly sure what that was about. Even Hopper, I love that actor, but I felt like he was a bit wooden in season 1. He was just like, you're disgruntled cop, and he's like, all right, well, here we go. And you don't get much Hopper development until season 2, when he like lives with Eleven, and then he starts to like have to navigate human situations. But he's sort of just like your most typical possible like small town cop for season 1. Small town drunk veteran cop. Yes, he ticks all the boxes of Hopper season 1. And surprisingly, even with that many labels of who your character is, you still seem like the most wooden, like basic ass character of all time. There was things like that. The relationships that were well developed, I feel like had better chemistry. Like I did like the Jonathan, Steve, and man, I'm drawing a blank on her name because I'm dumb. Natalie Dreyer's character. I've been watching this show for like a week straight. The main character, Nancy. Yes.
There you go.
That's a nice, all 3 of those actors kill it. And I think they do a really good job of developing those characters. And then I think the kids are pretty good when they're with each other. I also had a bit of a problem with Mike early on. Kid Mike isn't the best. Yeah. Mike's getting better, but Kid Mike was a little bit rough for me. Just a lot of like, like those the shakings and stuff. It was just like, okay, we get it, Kid Mike. Like, we get it. You're animated right now. But those are kids acting in a massive blockbuster of a show, and I'm me doing this stream. So like, I have no space to talk any shit. I'm not trying to talk shit. But it was just took me out of the story a bit for season 1. So I do think it was my least favorite season in that regard, and that has improved and made Stranger Things stronger for me. Maybe I'm looking for that a little more, the character dynamics. The vibes are fucking awesome, though. Like, I grew up playing Rareware, so you can't like ever give me enough synth. If you if you got some heavy synth and horror vibes, like I'm all the way in. So like everything I just bitched about, there's still like always a lot of Stranger Things that I'm totally bought in for. And I had a great time rewatching it. I enjoyed it very thoroughly. So still love the show overall.
Jeremy?
I don't care what Robert says.
Yeah, Robert can cram it. Maybe
Robert.
actually,
Whoa,
Talking about-
Rob.
no, he doesn't have to cram it if he doesn't
Robert
want
O'Connor,
to.
yeah. Robert
Robert
O'Connor.
Tone, yeah, he's the best, but he has the worst takes. It's okay.
Yeah,
I might
we
be
gotta
honest.
get we
We'll
gotta
see if
gang
I'm
up
on.
on him at Stoker though.
Let's
We gotta
do
let him
it.
have it. We should
Yeah,
all
let's
dress
do
as
it.
Stranger Things characters one day or something.
It'll be 3v1
Fucking-
because I might be on Robert O'Tone's side of the fence. But Jeremy, you tell your opinion first.
Now look here. I'm gonna preface my opinion by saying that I have so far only watched season 1, and I finished watching it today for this.
Oh, nice.
For
That's
you, the
interesting.
people. And yeah, it's so my overall opinion is that it's fine. You know, I think what it comes down to is like character work for this first season. It really takes a backseat to the vibe and yeah, because like every time something is said about a character, I find myself being like, what, really? This is, or like, so like in episode 6, I took a note of this. Dustin says to Mike, he's like, Lucas is your best friend, and all I can, and I found myself being like, wait, what? How, when did that even happen? And then like,
That was when, that was
yeah,
when.
I guess that was when. That's exactly when. And then, like, your best friends. Like, what about this missing child we've been looking for? Like, well, he's your best. He's also your best friend, but like, Lucas is your best friend. Like, okay, all right. And then there's like, the science teacher that knows literally everything. Like, he knows, like, well, if you wanted to reach another universe, you would need to create a bunch of energy, and there's this tightrope walker and a flea on the tightrope, and you can't do anything of that, but you need to just like, what? Why would you think that's the scientifically viable answer? Why would you think there's a scientifically viable answer to the question of how do I reach an alternate dimension that we read about in D&D?
It is a weird flex to say to your students instead of something to the effect of like, we don't really know that yet. There are some theories.
I guess.
He was just like, yeah, let me draw you up a game guide for it real quick. That's
mean,
exactly how you
Just
do
real quick.
Jeremy, have you taught middle schoolers?
No.
I'm telling you right now, if a bunch of middle schoolers came up to me with a question like that, I would be like, I don't care. I'm going to answer this to the best of my ability because you're
Yes.
talking to me. Like you're showing interest in science. Like that's all
Yeah.
I care about right now.
No, for sure. You
So
give,
I
you
feel
give
like I
a
would've
point
gone.
of reference of like, well, this movie philosopher, scientist,
Yeah.
whatever, thinks it goes like this, but this one also thinks this could be happening, and he's like, nope, this one, and I'm gonna poke a hole in a paper plate to show I mean business. And like, and
Yes.
and I mean, there are little inconsistencies throughout with characters. Like, I don't get what anyone saw in Steve for, I guess, the first season,
Wow.
other than great hair. He had great
Wow.
hair the whole time.
He's athletic. The show tells us
Until, hey, look, I didn't see what anybody saw in him until he went just absolutely bonkers with a spiky baseball bat, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'd maybe hit that. But like,
He didn't
then
run
there's-
away. He didn't run away
didn't
from the
run
final
away.
confrontation.
nah, he stepped up, and
Mhm.
God bless him.
Steve's a dog.
The
Let him
only
back
other
off.
thing that I really Okay, there are two other things I have a note of. The first of is that apparently these are all things that make Eleven's nose bleed the exact same amount. So the first, making compass needles point the wrong way. The second, throwing a boy. Third, throwing a truck. And fourth is screaming a hole into another dimension like she's Majin Buu.
All the same amount of nosebleed. That's
all
what
the
you're saying?
that's the same amount of effort, I assume,
Mm.
to do all those things. And the only other thing that really distracted me while watching this was like the shadowy government. Oh wait, I guess there's a couple things. Like I have more notes than I remember. But like, first of all, Hopper takes a long time to get with it and just break bad. But when he does it really hard and fast and starts beating up government agents and breaking into facilities and shit. Just like
That's true.
Just immediately is like, wow, that turn took a long time to happen, but it was hard and fast. Okay.
Yeah, he does a couple 12-ounce curls and he's right back to the battlefield.
Right? And he just goes.
You do enough 12-ounce curls, I'd do it. I don't know how y'all get after too many 12-ounce curls, but the amount of bravado and just like unhingedness that I enter that's on that level.
Oh yeah. And then of course there's like Nancy finds a wet, throbbing hole in the woods, and she's like, I'm gonna crawl into that. Like she doesn't even know for sure that it'll lead to evil Narnia, but she's going in there.
Yeah,
And
and there's maybe 3 people in the universe that would do that. Like most people are looking at that thing and being like, I don't think I should even be. Like I'd be,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
mask it up real quick.
Smelling this right now.
It's like that.
What about you, Alyssa? Would you go in? Would you crawl in?
Fuck no. But I don't think Nancy seemed like the type of person to do that either, and that's why it was so weird. But at the same time, it's like a whole grief thing, right? Like she is so desperate to find Barbara since nobody else gives a shit.
True.
That she's like,
I mean, it's weird to look at that and just assume it's related to what you're doing when you're looking for your missing friend.
Yeah. It's
the metaphor was right there, She just crawled right into the...
That's fine.
Yeah, the metaphor was inside the throbbing wet hole.
One of my favorite, I just watched the new Naked Gun movie, which was really dumb fun. But literally, they like steal this device that the villain like steals a device from a bank, and the device is an acronym that's just plot device. Sure. It's like, that's gold. That's comedy gold. Okay, Jeremy, you have any wrap-up opinions before I give mine, and then we take a break?
My only one thing about it is that this shadowy government agency really half-assed Will's fake dead body. Like
they did.
Yeah, they couldn't have sprung for like some fake organs instead of just like polyfill. He's a pillow on the inside. Come on, guys. What if a grizzled, drunken sheriff just bursts in there and starts cutting open kids? Come on, guys.
Yeah, chaos.
They were not prepared for that circumstance at all, and they really should have been. Inexcusable government activity there. I agree.
What
they should be ready for every scenario. Should be ready for every scenario.
Yes.
All right.
Travis?
I have mixed feelings about this show. For one, I do think you're right. The vibes are immaculate. The whole show runs on vibes. And that's both its blessing and its curse, because I will continue to watch, because they're like, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. It feels amazing. It is, if you're looking for this type of thing, so you've like just finished a Stephen King novel and you have a book hangover, this is the show. Like, go watch it. Because you're going to get the same kind of feeling. You're going to get the same kind of characters. it's a comfortable show. It's a nice warm blanket of a show for people that like this type of genre. I think that's why it's so popular. But I think this falls into the category for me of like people are happy with it, and so they want to defend it as incredibly well done. And I'm like, those two things don't have to be the same thing. Like you can find a show comforting and well enough made that you'll always return to it without being like insanely good television in the level of like Breaking Bad, which this is not. In fact, I think to Clayton's point, like I was really disappointed by some of the performances, and I will talk a little crap. I know I'm not an actor. They do it better than me, but like I'm an unashamed critic with a high nose. Finn
It's way
Wolfhard
up there.
and Millie Bobby Brown in this did not impress me and still haven't throughout. Like I'm still waiting for Finn Wolfhard to give a performance that isn't to me like very wooden and over exaggerated. And I think it becomes even more pronounced when in season 4 we get Maya Hawke and Joseph Quinn just coming in and showing people what the business is, because those two in season 4 overshadow every main character in the entire series. Like
Maya Hawke kicks ass.
Maya Hawke and Joseph Quinn are so fantastic that I was like, oh, I love this. And I haven't loved this as much as this for 2 seasons. And I think a big part of that is because these 2 side characters who are supposed to be kind of like a little to the side are now like every episode I was tuning in. I'm like, great, take me to those 2 scenes because I want to see them again because they're fantastic. I do think I love David Harbour. I think Harbour, he was doing a very much, I think his performance, Clayton's right, was like pretty, the character himself was, a little boring, but I kind of just saw it as like David Harbour doing his best Jaws impersonation of the main character in Jaws. And he does it really well. And I think he has proved he can knock it out of the park in other roles. But my whole balance act with this show is, at what point do I just enjoy the shit out of it? Like,
Yeah,
do I just take the critic hat off and like, yeah, there's plot holes. Yes, some of the performances to me don't do it. Yes, most of the plot stuff is like member berries and let's just go off the 80s thing and Stephen King novels. But like, yeah, this show's comfortable, man. It's so fun. And like, I keep coming back because I'm like, sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need a show where it's like, I don't want to sit down and like, for example, I've been wanting to watch Pluribus for like weeks, months since it came out. But I just, every day I'm like coming home and I'm like, I want to be ready for Pluribus. I want to be ready to like take in what has been given to me. Stranger Things to me is the show that you come home after a long day of work and you're like, you know what? I just want to sit down and enjoy myself. And that's what Netflix has provided for us. And I think there's a place in art for things like that. And my biggest problem comes when people try and take that and put it in the same category as something like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 5, where it's like, those two that's like a amateur fighter and a title holder to me. Like, both have their place. We need both. They're not the same thing. So that's my whole kind of snooty analysis. I love Stranger Things. I just love it for those specific reasons of enjoyment. But
yeah, I think there are elements of it where I agree with you on that, and elements of it where I do think it is a legitimately well-made show.
I will say that it's like, it's again, the vibes. Alyssa's totally right. And the reason the vibes are so good is because of how well it's like. So I'd say the performances and the story are where I'm like, oh, this is just kind of pure enjoyment. But the way this show looks is so good. Holy crap. Yeah. And I think with shows like this, and we'll get into this, I think, in the questions, but with shows that are for that type of enjoyment, you need that. Because like, that's what's holding you up. That's your foundation. If they don't look good, then it's like, why am I here? Unless, you're doing the like Hallmark Christmas specials where it's like, I know why I'm here. I know I'm here to see the city girl go to the country and start a bakery and have the worst act you can possibly make.
Exactly. You want to watch a movie and not have to pay attention to it and still know what's going on.
Yeah. So I think you're right, Clayton, that this show looks incredible. Like the Duffer Brothers have made something that I think the biggest reason it'll live in the cultural zeitgeist is because some of the scenes visually give you goosebumps. Like they're so well crafted.
Yeah, it's kind of a new generation of Star Wars in a lot of ways to me, and they chose, because current Star Wars doesn't count as the new Star Wars. That's old Star Wars still trying to be here. But I think too, the generation that this was marketed directly at, I think they'll be hit the same way that our generation was hit by, like, say, Harry Potter or something, where it's like, yeah, this is going to be really influential to a lot of people. And I love that it's horror. Let's go. Let's get some more horror as a genre in the cultural zeitgeist. That's always a thing I'm a fan of. I'm also a fan of urination when I have drank 2 beers. So it is time to go do that. We're going to take our 5-minute break. Alyssa, please turn off your camera and your mic for us so you get kicked off the stage. We'll do the same. I'm going to play this little video for y'all, and we'll see you on the other side for our panel discussion of Stranger Things. Thanks for being here. Goodbye.
Man.
Hello, fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains, like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie,
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
everybody
exactly what he made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
His boots are yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel like if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's like, and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was 2 lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, I mean, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good
You know,
job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up. You know,
Yeah, dedicate
still-
that
yeah,
time.
settle
You're willing
twice.
to dedicate that time.
the time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things
Oh, that
I've
was
done in my
so good.
life.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
So it begins.
So it begins when Alyssa finds her way back. We might have some dog guests. I let them out of their kennels so that they would stop incessantly barking.
Very nice.
Sure.
Alyssa. All right. Well, we
She'll
can
be
start with
back.
you guys. She'll be back. Yeah, we talked a lot about vibe. So I want to
did.
start with vibe. And we've talked about vibe before. Obviously, on a show like this, we're going to get repeat questions. There is Alyssa. And I want to jump into our discussion. Sorry, mid-bite. Like a waiter. I'm like the bad waiter.
Anything else I can get you?
I'm so sorry. I
Always
took a
everything.
cheese break. You took a bathroom break, and I took a cheese break. I just went to
Nice.
eat.
We
Okay.
respect the cheese break. I had a bit of my wife's Swedish coffee bread, so I get it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
feel
want to
me,
talk
Chad.
about the vibe of this show. We've got a vibe going, but mostly just the vibe of Stranger Things, and also keep this conversation going with multiple creatives about like how much vibe matters. What are some of your favorite vibes? Yeah, maybe I haven't asked that one before. Like, when you're
There you
thinking
go.
about a vibe type show, what are some of your favorite vibes? And then how much do you think vibe contributes to the overall product when you're looking for something to watch and enjoy? And we'll start with you, Alyssa, if that is okay. If not, we don't have to pull the waiter thing mid bite.
Yeah. I'm fine. Vibes are everything to me.
Mhm.
I run purely on vibes. That's probably why I enjoyed Stranger Things season 1 so much, right? My favorite vibe, maybe it's nostalgia. I would probably say 90s nostalgia versus 80s because I was born in 88.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for the 90s. I love looking back and seeing familiar things like, I don't know, Pepsi cans and shit. Back when they really went hard with like advertising in TV and movies then, which they kind of gave a break up until now. It seems like maybe recently they're doing that again.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
A little bit, yeah, for sure. There was something recently that was hardcore 90s vibes. I'm trying to remember what it is now. It's slipped my mind, but
The R.L. Stein, like Fear Street.
yeah.
I ate that shit up. Was it the best thing? No, but I loved it. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this definitely hits on all the 80s nostalgia all the way through with the score and everything else.
I
Yeah.
do think that's one thing I didn't get to say about, and I forgot to say, I would have had the opportunity to say it, but is this new season them trying to convince us that these actors are high schoolers? It's
Yes.
like the dumbest thing. I'm like, I look at what is his name that plays not Will. I'll find it here in a second. The kind of like nerd friend with he has like the
Oh, Dustin.
Dustin.
Yeah.
No, Team
Dustin
Dustin.
no longer looks like a child.
He
at
sure does.
all. And I'm like, trying to convince me that this guy is like 19. He's clearly like 25.
I know that Dustin is 25 for sure.
But Clay, Jeremy, vibes. What do you think?
Oh, before I say
Oh.
mine, I want to hear what how Alyssa thought, or what did you like about Stranger Things vibes specifically?
I think the throwback to just how it felt. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so how I think it felt walking down the street and there was a Radio Shack, like these very
Mm.
specific stores. You had to go to a hardware store, you had to go to Radio Shack, you had to
Right.
go to very specific places to get what you needed. It wasn't this like mass production of Walmart and Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt so real, and so it sparked so much in my mind. It sparked a lot for me. Aside from the music was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I'm certainly reminiscent of the pre-internet days, and certainly of like the pre-Amazon days. Like now, you just like get anything you want at any time on the internet from anywhere, which is really wild. Like you can be completely different town. I had to get some stuff for a podcast when I went to Pittsburgh, and I just like ordered it on Amazon just like I would here, you know? And it's so bizarre. And then shout out to my boy Bob, but like you also had to be good at actually working on the thing if you worked at Radio Shack. Like you had to be able to put a computer together and take it apart if you worked at Radio Shack in the 80s, you know, or the early 90s. And now, I mean, there's a reason it takes like 19 hours to get in and out of an Apple store, but that is one of the most hellish places on the planet. And I kind of miss those days where, yeah, things were a little bit more like there's a value to a bit of scarcity and needing to actually seek out what you need, and more self-sufficiency that maybe isn't there anymore in a lot of ways. So that nostalgia factor hit for me as well.
Yeah, and I think the mom and pop shop, because I mean I've had a lot of discussions with our dad Clay, of like Cut Bank used to be our small town that we grew up in, Cut Bank, Montana. They used to have this like tiny like main street, but it was full. Like every building was full of a store. And like Dad always says they used to have these things called crazy days where like everyone would show up every month and they'd have a big like store sellout thing, and every building was occupied. And it is cool to see, like I never experienced it, but to see that, like that's what the small town used to be like in the 80s. I'm like, oh man, I bet I would have probably enjoyed my time in Cut Bank a little more if that was the vibe. So I'm with you, Alyssa. Like that is something that you can be nostalgic for, something you didn't actually experience, I think, in certain ways. And Stranger Things shows us that. Jeremy, what vibe do you like in this one?
Well, I mean, the vibes are cool. They're on theme for Stranger Things, you know, the like visually great, you know, most of the boys have dumb haircuts, so that's helpful. That really helps sell that it's the 80s. The score does great, and then you just get to sit back and enjoy the lighting and the environment and whatever. But I mean, like, you know, for me anyway, you know, vibes are hard to like claim as like a certain vibe that I enjoy watching, because it is so easy for a creator to like misfire with a vibe that like if you get it slightly wrong, it becomes something else that's like totally rancid and I don't want to keep watching. So like, I mean, you know, there's no one's going to replicate Speed Racer for a lot of reasons, but I mean, largely it's because they can't. You know?
If you're looking for a drinking game for fermented fiction, like we do for every movie that we rate, every time Jeremy mentions Speed Racer, take a shot.
It's going to be one per episode.
You're going to feel it pretty hard.
Yes.
I'm going to bring it up until everybody has seen it, because it's great.
I know way more about Speed Racer than I ever thought I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'll ever need to know. Yeah.
By far.
I don't have anything specific on vibe, because my vibe comment is going to go into our next question. So if anyone has anything more about the Stranger Things vibe, I want to hear it before we move on.
I am just always a fan of something that, though you could claim that this is in many ways a remake of other things, because it is very directly like Easter egging and calling back, it is still like they put it in horror and they kind of do their own take on it because I think there's enough usage of the vibe to a positive effect that it still feels like their way of telling the story for sure. So I think that's where vibe is a more tangible thing, where it is a way that you as a creator can put your stamp on some story that's been told 1,000 times. Because if you try to retell Dracula or the Wolfman story or the Mummy or whatever, people do it all the time. Try to retell those stories. People try to retell fairy tales. People try to, and I'm not saying that as a looking down upon it. I think it's great when it's pulled off well, and I feel like this show, because it is so well executed and developed, does pretty well execute like 80s film as a whole genre, and kind of like revamping it and putting some new life back into it. So I appreciate it for that, and I think that's where vibe's a tangible thing. Like it can actively affect the process just as much as good lighting or good acting.
Oh, sure. I mean, I feel like you can definitely achieve a vibe, but you can't really make a vibe happen. It's like your own signature on one of those stories. The vibe.
Alyssa, you have disagreement or agreement?
I mean, vibes are everything. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like a person can 100% create the vibe and be the vibe and showcase that vibe and lock me in solely on that. So,
Yeah. I
like
can
you said,
see that.
lighting and with the music and the determination. Like you said, the outfits were actually on point. It didn't seem like something being remade for me. It seemed like, oh, look at those pictures of my family from the 80s. Or like, it wasn't alive, but like every 80s horror movie ever, yes. And it seems almost like it could have been at the same time, except for like the quality of, like the clarity of what I was watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess you can constantly kind of think like, we want it to feel like X, and then when the ship starts steering the wrong way, you can say like, this doesn't feel like X. And I do think, to Clayton's point, especially with the remakes of like Wolfman and Dracula and stuff, is I think I used to think I was 100% like anti-Memberberry, like let's not like stop remaking things, but like recently I've kind of come around to like everything's a remake in a way. No story is brand new. And I do like this revival we're getting of like returning to the original. So Nosferatu, we constantly mention on the show. I think like Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, I have hope for being a return to the original tale, and also kind of a nod to those old stop motion-y monster movies that we got with like Greek tales back in the early 50s and 60s. I'd like to see him go there. And that in itself is kind of a vibe. And I have enjoyed directors being like, let's just stop pretending like we're not paying homage to the people that we watched as kids. And I do respect that it's more of a lean into, yeah, this is just going to be my take on X film that really helped me as a kid. So I don't know.
Yeah. The only way I could possibly agree with Jeremy, because I believe the vibe is ever present, is if I were to agree that you cannot create a vibe because it is ever present. But like the vibe is constantly being recreated and exploded. And if you don't think you can create a vibe though, or drastically alter a vibe, if we're arguing from that perspective, walk into a room with a 30 rack, raise it above your head and scream and see, like, that's gonna change the vibe of the entire room, whatever room you're in.
You can create a vibe. You can't, like, what I'm saying is, if you're trying to recreate a vibe, that you can't do.
Don't you think every vibe is being recreated from a vibe before, just like every story?
Like, you automatically influence the vibe and shape it into what it is by what you're doing. So with Stranger Things, or say with the 30 rack and being like, woo! And, you know,
gonna
the
shift
vibe is
I'm just
being
saying.
shaped in a definite way by that. But if you're trying, but you know the difference between the guy just walking in and meaning it, being like, yeah, and the guy being like, I'm going to make parties happen. That guy gets his ass kicked and thrown out of the party.
I might.
That's
I see
true.
your. So, Jeremy, are you saying that a vibe cannot be created? It can be summoned.
It's more than a vibe.
Conjured.
It's more that if you try to summon a specific vibe, it comes back wrong.
You have to believe in the vibe.
The vibe.
Yeah,
has
you
be
have to
genuine.
believe in what you're doing, and the
Yeah.
vibes will follow.
Right.
I've tried to summon a board game vibe at a non-board game party. And
Yeah.
that's
That's
a rough
tough
time.
sledding.
When you're like, well, let's play Catan, and everyone's like, we're like 3 whiskeys deep, dude. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
best you can hope for is to just start hanging out with the host's dog.
That's a vibe. You fit that.
That's a
vibe.
great vibe. That's a
But
great
Alyssa, I
vibe.
feel like
It's
I interrupted
wonderful.
you. You had a
No, I really like, Jeremy, how you said you can't recreate the vibe, because I think maybe that's what you meant in the first place. And I do agree with that, because each person is going to bring some type of flair to change it in some type of way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd
Yeah.
love
vibe
to
is
see.
like a signature. It's
Yeah.
what you bring to the party, and if you're trying to recreate somebody's signature, you're going to do it wrong.
I agree. Yeah.
I'd love to
I do.
trace the vibes of things. Like that'd be a fun paper to write. Is like, when was the first vibe?
When was the first captured vibe?
It was
Vibes
me.
predate man.
Okay? When I was born, that was the first vibe officially. December
Damn.
1st. Maybe.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm
Nice.
totally kidding.
Oh, it's on
That was a
record.
lot later than I expected.
Wow,
Yeah.
Only 37 years old vibes. That's
Wow.
pretty wild.
That's
Screw Socrates. He wasn't vibing at all.
He didn't know about vibes, dude.
Yeah,
He knows
no
about
vibe.
shadows and
doesn't
shit.
vibe at all.
Sun Tzu,
I know that's
Sun Tzu
Pluto.
doesn't vibe.
Sun Tzu, Lao Tzu,
Sun
Confucius,
Tzu's
they can all
vibe is
claim
stabbing
it.
you, bro. That's in the back.
Those
You don't want
vibes
Sun
are
Tzu.
rancid.
Alyssa,
No.
Terrible
Alyssa and
vibes.
Alessi, that's the first vibe.
Yeah, first vibe. First vibe.
I would never say that. See what happens?
Vibe.
You
number
did though, just now
one.
live.
What am I talking about?
That's the power of whiskey right there.
It happened.
I'm very glad we talked about vibe because of that moment. Probably my favorite vibe from Stranger Things goes into my next question, which is also, if you hear bells ringing in the background, that is my dog because he's bored. He wants to go out,
Play with me, Papa.
but he'll be fine. Coming of age stories. I think that's like the vibe that keeps bringing me back to this show. Is not even really the 80s nostalgia. It's not even, although I feel like the 80s really did have a lot of good coming of age stories. But that's just always a genre I've gravitated towards. Some of my favorite movies are coming of age stories. I love Boyhood. I love Stand By Me. I love, what's the other one I was thinking of, and it slipped my mind. Yep, it's gone, but it'll come back probably. But I'm wondering if you all agree that this is a genre that really has a lot of impact in our lives as a general audience. What some of your favorites are. So there's 3 questions here. I can always restate them. Do you agree that coming of age stories are kind of a cultural universal that's always going to carry on generation after generation? What are some of your favorite coming of age stories? And why do you think they have such longevity if you do think they do? And we'll start with Alyssa.
Yeah, coming of age rocks. My favorite, shit, I can't, can I call it my favorite if I forget the title?
Yes.
We'll allow it.
Describe it, and I might know the title.
Okay, Christina Ricci, Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay.
Love it already.
Love where this is
Okay,
going.
I'm
Great sense
It's
so
like
far.
these 4 girls, and it's a coming of age. Man, I loved that movie. I forget what it's called now. That's gonna drive me crazy. I think that was the first time I remember having those types of feelings. Like, wow, like we all go through the same type of stuff at this age.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. You can totally skip me and I'll figure out what that movie is.
We can come back. I got it. I'll look it up. But why do you think coming of age stories are so impactful? It's called Now and Then.
Now and Then, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said
You
it
guys
like I've watched it. I have not.
I had to watch all those like boyhood coming of age. So I recommend you guys watch this.
Mhm.
It's really I think we all experience the same shit.
Mhm.
Like you guys grew up where? In Montana, you said?
Mhm.
And I grew up in Massachusetts, and I'm sure we had so many similarities, right? At that, what is that? That like right around the time you're about to hit puberty,
Mhm.
12, 13, 14, we all had very similar experiences. Even obviously there were differences, but the whole coming into yourself, figuring out these kids you're growing up with may not be in your life forever. That's really hard.
Mhm.
There's a point when your friends are everything. Your friends mean more to you than your own family.
Mhm.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, your feelings, for me, my feelings were the most intense at that time too. When you had a crush on someone, it was not a crush. Like you were gonna marry them. Like that was
Mhm.
it. The love
It
of
was your
your life.
first love. Love of your life.
Yeah, butterflies and all of that. I mean, I love my husband. I'm not saying I don't have butterflies, but you know what I mean. It's just a different feeling. Everything's just so intensified.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. Clay?
I think that's pretty much the key of it for me too, honestly. It is Alyssa already said that half of it, the personal half of it well. So if I can add to it, I would say I think it also creates an echo effect because I think it sort of leapfrogs, right? Like if you are the target demographic of a thing like Stranger Things that hits and you can talk to it with kids, you can talk to it with your parents. So it can become, if you have your parents and everything, you can become a bonding moment there. And you can talk to older people about it. You can talk to all kinds of different people about it. Those kind of things like Star Wars, like this, they leapfrog generations because our parents watched the 80s shit when they were teenagers. So then they made sure we watched the 80s shit, which is why Stranger Things works on us. And now it's doing that to the next generation, right? Like, I think that sort of like universal relatability is extremely transferable from an artistic standpoint and an enjoyment standpoint to a wide variety of people. Because, like Alyssa's saying, like we can grow up in completely different places, parts of the world, under completely different circumstances. But at the end of the day, like if you're a prepubescent kid, you're experiencing something similar to a lot of other prepubescent kids around the world. And your circumstances become sort of like, I think, increasingly relative to other kids because, like, or objective to other kids, I mean, because regardless of what your circumstances is, you're having those same emotional experiences to it in a lot of ways. Like, your first love, like, we're all pretty much feeling that vibe as a hive mind. You know, like we're all kind of when we experience that, we all kind of can nod our heads to at least parts of it and be like, oh yeah, yep, I know exactly what you mean. And so those stories are really easy to tell to people. Then all you have to do is put a really interesting setting and a great score and good cinematography, and you got yourself a good show.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
And I think, I mean, for me personally, coming of age stories always rip, mostly because of the well, there was a time. Good God, there was a time in my life, which continues to now, where like authority figures, especially adult authority figures, were not worth trusting with shit. So it was up to the kids to like solve the problems of like, just the day to day of interacting with peers and whatever's going on in your life. Authority figures and adults, they can't, they're not helpful with that. So for me, that's what always brings me back to that. And like, I don't know. If I was to pick a favorite coming of age story, I'd go Gravity Falls. It's yeah. That's
Yeah, I
some
want
good
to.
stuff right there.
I want to circle back to that with you, Clay, because I don't know if I heard your favorite. Alyssa's was the Christina
did
Ricci one, which now I'm already forgetting the name of, and I
Now
just said, yeah, that. Jeremy's was Gravity Falls. What's yours, Clay? Talk about mine.
I'll be completely honest. The one that jumped into my head, and maybe this isn't a coming of age story, but the first movie that popped in my head, I'm going with my heart, is Balto.
Okay.
Do we consider?
Okay.
Yeah, Balto, the dog story. So he has to go find the medicine or whatever. And he wants to be a sled dog, but he's not. But then he goes and he's not a good sled dog. He's not a fast racer, right? And then he goes and finds the medicine and brings it back and becomes a hero. I feel like it's a coming of age story.
He's like,
I think that works.
Yeah. If we argue that he grows up by the end, then yeah. Coming of age.
I think so. He's a dog, so that's like 3 years over the course of that couple
That's
months.
a lot.
He's an animated talking dog, so it's not like it's like, yeah. I think that counts for sure.
He meets a fox spirit and shit. Yeah, he definitely grows up. I think.
Yeah, you can't grow up if you can't not grow up by meeting a fox spirit. So
right, exactly. I'm sure there's other ones out there that there are certainly other ones out there that I'm neglecting that I probably like more on a lot of levels. But maybe the one that was influential enough to me that it jumped out right here live on the stream is Balto. So let's go with that.
All Balto all day, man.
Coming up all Balto.
I think I am. I think I love this genre the most for all the reasons you have all stated, but also I think people take for granted that it's easy. I don't think it's an easy thing to pull off, and I think when we see it be disingenuous, I'm looking at you, Amazon, with the 1,000 YA novel adaptations you've tried just thrown out there, like, oh, teenagers love this. And they're terrible. I think we all feel like that's not what it was like. And I think it's a hard thing when it's such a universal truth that speaks to like teenage experience that we've shared to get it right. Because if there's even a little bit of it that's not right, you're like, oh, nope, I'm done with this. So I think it's a hard genre to pull off. And so when it's done really well, I'm a huge, huge fan. And I keep coming back to it. I think my favorite, I've already mentioned, is Boyhood. Just because like Richard Linklater is one of my favorite directors, and he's such a master at capturing the mundane that like this was such a good genre for him, because it's like his Boyhood's about nothing. It's about nothing. It's about just a kid living life, and he has kind of a dramatic household, but not really. Like his parents are divorced, but they're nice and they're not fighting all the time, and they like the dramas are small, and no one's better at that, I think, than Richard Linklater. So that movie is just like, if you want to know what it's like to be a teenage boy, he got you as close as a creative can, in my opinion. Outside of novels, there's a couple novels that really, really hit me hard. Petey, back in the day, if you haven't read that book, bawled my eyes out. There's a couple others, but I remember Petey hitting me really hard. But yeah, I think it's a genre that really can speak to those universals, as Alyssa, Clay, and Jeremy have said. So definitely why I wanted to ask that question. And my last question, well, no, I have one more after this, but second to last question before my pretentious question of the week is teenage realism. So you've written a middle grade book, Alyssa. I'm very curious to hear about, there's this level of adult realism for characters being written and a level of teenage realism. I do think they blend in a lot of areas. Like we feel the same things as kids as we do adults sometimes, but also, like you said, sometimes bigger, sometimes more dramatic. And I think that's got to be a hard thing to pull off, of like, how do you make an audience feel like this is an actual teen if your character is a teen? How do you go into that? Especially, I think a challenge people maybe underestimate is with the ever-changing teenage vernacular. Because I've thought about that a lot, of like, if I tried to write a teenage character in a book right now, I'd have to do some real research into what do they actually talk like, because I don't know it. You know, I hear my middle schoolers say terms, and I'm like, what does that mean? And they go so fast. Like last year, it was all skibbity and toilet riz and sigma, and this year, no one's saying that anymore. I'm like,
So out.
it's so out. It's gone. So yeah, how
It's
do you
out.
kind of? Sorry, go ahead.
What were you saying?
Well, how do you kind of get into that mindset of like that universal teenage experience, but also, I don't know if you did this in your book, but if you to keep it for a modern audience, what do you think the challenge is that as a writer?
I think it's extremely challenging because when you're writing for a younger audience, you can't forget that you first have to go through the adult audience filter, right? They have to approve of what you're saying, and they might not get it. When it comes to like kids slang and stuff like that, I hear a lot of pushback with putting modern slang into your work. Obviously, because it just happens so fast. Like you said, 1 minute it's skibbity toilet, and then the next it's 6-7, and now I don't know what they're onto, but they're onto the next. It helps that I have 3 kids. I'm a mom of a 21-year-old who actually is going back home to California tonight. A 14-year-old, almost 15, and an 8-year-old who's almost 9. So I have 3 different ranges constantly in my ear. So I have a lot of that going on around me. That won't be forever, but that's for right now. I hear a lot of pushback on slang because they're saying this is not timeless if you do that. However, I run solely on vibes, so I don't strive to be timeless. I very much like capturing a moment in time. So I'm okay with putting whatever slang the kids are saying nowadays into a book without it being overdone. So in the middle grade book, the character is 12 years old. She turns 12 years old on the first page of the book. And they're on Instagram. They're like, her best friend's like snapping photos for Instagram. Will Instagram be forever? No, but I mean, I feel like that's very much relevant to right now. In the last 10 years, even, and maybe in the next 5 years, I think it'll still be just as relevant. So it's just a small little representation of the time, which now if we're writing, we're gonna write like a historical fiction. Now you're going back and researching what did they do in 1995? If people weren't writing what people were doing in 1995, how the hell would we know? So I don't mind capturing a moment in time.
I think that's a great way to look at it because the slang you use and stuff will never be what makes your work timeless anyway. If your
No.
work happens to become timeless, though, it could unbecome timeless when a bunch of people look up whether it was period accurate and it doesn't feel period accurate. The people who care about something being timeless are definitely going to care that it was in its own time, you know, or in whatever time the story takes place. Like Stranger Things does not take place in modern times. I do still think, though, it's like adjusted appropriately to be watchable and accepted and enjoyed by a modern audience. But it still has all the vibes of the 80s. That's something I think it pulls off really, really well. And at the same time, it's interesting that you were kind of talking about that, or I'm relating it back to anyway, that generational aspect of all this. But it's almost like you have to channel, I think, as a creator anyway, personally, I have to kind of channel, okay, I have to start from a place of like, where was I when I was in this place, you know? And then, so that's coming with all of my own circumstances. And then to try to transpose it on a modern audience, really difficult because I came from a very different pre-internet is a crazy thing to think, but that's like a big ass wall, you know, between our generation and the next. If you are not pre-internet and you live right now, it's going to be it's hard to even comprehend. And there's plenty of those things like that the generations before us obviously also experienced. So I think capturing a moment in time, like you said, Alyssa, is important. It preserves it but you can't try to capture every single moment in time. And then it's kind of interesting. You almost have to, with slang these days, have to like hyper date yourself.
Yeah.
Because with the internet, it goes worldwide, like overnight. And then it's like, so of course it's in 2 days, it's going to get like old. Right. But again, like pre-internet age, like Montana would hear about things like 10 years after it was cool in California. So it would like continue to ripple until it finally hit us. And then we just got a little splash of it. And then we say it to a California person at wrestling camp and they'd be like, bro.
No one says
Sounds
that
like a
anymore.
very personal story.
I think I was in second grade when I heard that. We're like, oh, what? That's cool.
No,
and they'd be
dude.
like, why are you wearing South Pole? And I'd be like, I mean, yeah, you remember South Pole.
Cool. Do
I never did wear South Pole, but I know people
Sure.
who did. I definitely
Sure, bud.
understand that was a big. No, I did not. I did not wear South Pole.
I can attest he did not wear South Pole.
Did you, Alyssa?
come on,
Did you
don't-
wear South Pole when
I
it was
did
cool
not
in
wear
Massachusetts?
South Pole. No, I did not. I had friends who wore South Pole, but no, that wasn't my vibe. I wore Echo Unlimited. Echo Unlimited was like,
Oh yeah.
Sure, yeah, you'd want that for sure.
I had the DC skater shoes at one point in
Oh,
my life.
yeah.
even though I'd never.
Oh
touched
yeah,
them
you'll
in my life.
want that's some good stuff. Some
Yeah,
nice
the flat
big chunky shoes. You'll want that. But speaking of things that didn't really age into the present, I think the thing about like writing teens or bringing them across is less about the slang or the fashions or whatever, and it's more just the understanding that like they are like with teens and kids, they are basically adults, but they know quantifiably fewer things. And crucially, they don't understand less than we do. They just know less stuff
mhm.
than we do. And I think the things that like make kids compelling protagonists and whatever, they really understand that. Whereas, the things that kind of fall flat don't. And they fall flat whether you're a grizzled whatever age I am or a young child.
Mm. Yeah, I think.
It's just that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you have a point. I might. No, I don't know if I'd push back. I think you're right on the knowledge versus wisdom thing. That's what I'd call it. Having taught them now for almost 4 years, teenagers, there's definitely a level where, and this is the hardest thing too with coming of age stories, is like capturing, I think, the essence of a group of people who don't think adults understand when we do, because we bend them, but you can't make them know that you do kind of get it, because there's absolutely no way to like convey that to a student body. At least for me as a teacher, it's like, I do actually get this like thing you're going through a little bit because I went through it. But when I tell you that, you're going to be like, no, you don't. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. I don't. But I think the teenage realism thing, you've all touched on exactly the points I would make of. But the slang, Alyssa, I love your comments, and I'm going to kind of take myself out of solo because I'd love to talk more about this. I'm seeing like, I think Jeremy's right on some point of like the slang doesn't matter as long as you capture the feeling. But the other day I was watching Black Phone 2 with my parents in theaters, and it's set in the 80s. It's set kind of in the time that they would have been high school age. And there were a couple lines in it that were like clearly 80s slang, and I like cringed. I was like, oh, that sounds so dumb. But then I looked over at them, and they were like giggling. They were like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, so this author caught something for them that they were like, that is genuine. Like that is something I would have said. And I can see that happening when I look back at like a early 2000s, mid 2000s high school movie. I'll hear this slang that like stuck to me. And if it's authentic, I will say something along the lines of like, yep, they got it. Like that person was there. And I think it's a similar thing. And this is where I'd like to have the discussion Clayton and I have talked about, and we've talked about on the show, trying to write like construction workers is such a hard line to dance, because it's like if you haven't actually experienced a construction crew, sometimes the dialogue you write is so terribly off of like that ain't what's happening when you go. But when you like actually have been there and then you see a movie emulate that, one I always think of is the firefighter one with Josh Brolin and Miles Teller, Only the Brave. The way those guys like banter with each other, every time I watch that movie, I'm like, that is a construction crew. And I think it's a similar thing that happens with teenage movies, is like when you feel it and it's right, you feel it. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
I do just have to categorically disagree with Jeremy, because teenagers are certainly different people than adults, in the same way that like you are a different form of human, like in the same way that knowledge that we have, maybe like we know more things or whatever. It's why Travis's statement of like, you know what it sort of felt like to go through that, but you're definitely not experiencing it from their shoes. You truly do not understand. Because teenagers, like, I mean, yeah, when you're invested in something, you are so invested in it, like it is the most important thing in the universe. And human beings, as they age, just get increasingly disenfranchised with that could ever be true. Like we just like, I really do believe we just continue to sort of like experience defeats and experience shame and experience loss and experience grief and experience all these things, that it sort of like takes away that spark that we had as kids in a lot of ways. And it takes it kind of out of every aspect of your life. Because then anytime a younger person is going to bring up an experience to you. And I'm saying this from a teacher's perspective. I don't have a kid. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Alyssa. But bringing up an experience to you, it's really hard to look back through that lens, because you can truly never experience that intensity of emotional like investment again. And I don't think that the lack of like knowledge or the lack of having been through things is always necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it's good to like be going into something for the first time, because you have a level of energy about it that you will never have again. And that can be a brilliant moment for somebody, or a terrible one, depending on how it goes. I don't know. So I don't agree that they are the same as us with less knowledge. I think they're the same of us with far more emotional investment. And some of that comes as a byproduct of having less knowledge, but it doesn't necessarily make it a defect. Yeah.
I think each thing intensifies because they just have less to focus on or worry about on their day to day. I mean, they're not thinking about bills that have to be paid. They're not thinking about deadlines. They're not thinking about dinner. They're not thinking about any of that shit. They're not thinking about what's on the calendar, what's scheduled. They're thinking about, I don't know what they're thinking about. Honestly, that would be crazy if I said I knew what they were thinking about. But it's like it seems like they're thinking about how they appear to their friends.
Yeah.
Keeping up with their friends, how they appear to their friends, what's going on with their friends. Are they finding the same things funny? Do they have the same things? I would hate to be a kid, honestly, in this day and age with the media, obviously, right? We didn't have that. We had MySpace, right? That's all I had is MySpace. These kids have so many different apps where it's all about comparison, and that sucks. Even when you're just comparing yourself to like that one badass in school, right? Like it's you, and then there's like the popular couple people, 2 or 3 people who are like the it people, right? Comparing yourself to them, like you feel like shit. So now you're comparing yourself to everyone on the internet.
Yeah.
And that has to be so difficult. That has to be so hard. My daughter is turning 15 and she does not have any social media apps at all. And I realize I realize that does ostracize her a bit, right, from her peers. Now she's other, she's different because she's not on Snapchat, she's not on TikTok, she's not on Instagram. But for me as a parent, I have to weigh the pros and cons and sit back and think, what's gonna negatively affect her more, being ostracized in this small way, or the constant shit in your face every single day, comparing yourself on all these different apps and everything else that comes with that. So, I mean, am I right? Who knows? Like every single day in parenting is like, oh man, I hope I'm doing the right thing. I don't know. But
I think you speak to a really good point. And like, I work in a school that's a very like private religious school. So a lot of the kids don't have phones even, but especially don't have social media. And I have the flip phone, and I came to school with the flip phone, and all like 3 of my students were like, we have the same phone.
artifacts. Can I see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just look at that.
Oh.
Ooh, boy.
But yeah,
like
I
a
had-
razor
I had
even.
two-
Oh my god.
2 students that were like, we have the same phone, Mr. Vermolm. I was like, cool.
Oh boy.
But I think, oh man, I had a good point off of that. But speaking of coming of age movies, like Bo Burnham made 8th Grade, which I haven't watched. I've heard it's fantastic, but he has a lot. If anyone wants to go out and watch interviews from him about exactly that thing, Alyssa, of like, he calls it every child has like world mirror in their pocket that they're checking themselves against every day, and the way what that's doing to our psyche is really crazy. And I think, again, to the writing perspective, like trying to capture that in a story, I feel like would be so difficult. And so I think there's a stigma against middle grade writers and even younger, where it's like, oh yeah, that's just middle grade. And it's like the difficulty they have at approaching those characters is so astronomical that I can't even fathom trying to write a teenager and trying to write a story for teenagers, as opposed to just like going down the avenue of writing adult literature, because I am one. And so I'm writing for myself more than I am writing for my younger self in the modern day. Like that just seems way different.
They don't let you swear too much in either, which is total bullshit. Because like in Stranger Things, they were swearing like
Yeah.
the most.
I don't know a time I've sweared more than in middle school. So
I swore more in middle school than 100%.
I said fuck so much.
You say the words and they feel like powerful for the first time. Now I like avoid it as much as I can. I think I said it once on this episode, but I'm like, yeah, this doesn't sting as much, you know.
Dustin was really hitting with those like son of a bitch with his little list. It was adorable, but it was accurate. Like they were swearing, right? I was definitely swearing.
Oh yeah, for sure. As soon as you find out about swearing, you're swearing.
Oh yeah.
And I used to like go over to a friend's house and watch South Park, because I wasn't allowed to watch South Park, but I watch it, and I always love South Park for that reason. Just let it fly. You're learning so many things.
Okay, that's like the worst though. That's like the worst.
I mean, I would push back on that pretty hard, but I understand what you're
that's-
saying
that's
from a
kinda how
vulgarity
kids talk.
standpoint, for sure.
Did it get like any worse than South Park as a kid?
You know, I
Like
think
Family Guy.
Family Guy, it has the same level of vulgarity, but without the same level of artistic merit, for sure. I do firmly believe that South Park made me smarter, but it made me challenge things and think about the world in a different way. So I credit South Park with a lot of that, but the vulgarity's off the chain. So yeah, I think
I can't believe Adult Swim ran on the same channel as Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
So like if you stayed up long enough and let your parent deceived your parents long enough, there was like a time when innocent.
I mean, it was their
Cartoon
move.
Network-
It was brilliant.
Yeah, innocent little
It is
Cartoon
great,
Network
man.
became this like terrible cesspool.
Yes. Of just the weirdest, darkest shit conceivable. Yeah, it was definitely the upside down of Cartoon Network.
It was.
Oh yeah.
You know,
They did that intentionally. It was Nick at Night was not coming with the same smoke.
No, they tried, but it wasn't.
Just absolutely not the same thing.
Absolutely not.
No. Nick at Night turned into like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, it was basically just that.
It was.
Yeah.
Jeremy, before I ask my pretentious question of the week, do you want a chance to defend yourself against Clayton's outright condemnation of your weight?
Hey, I'll defend myself by saying it sounds like he kind of just agrees with me. The lack of knowledge is kind of what gives you the enthusiasm and the energy of youth, gives you just this perfect confluence of things to sort of like be how you were in that era. But like, and of course I will obviously preface my statements by saying like I am a very neurodivergent person, and the people who presumed to be going through the exact same things as me actually weren't. So like, you know, it's just that kind of thing. So for me, the difference between adulthood and childhood is people talking down to you because you're not tall enough and don't have a beard. So I don't know. Maybe everything's made up. It's hard to say.
It's all made up. It's all made up.
It's all made up for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Not to be weird, but like I usually do end up at some point in the night talking about how it all like kind of just brings us back to like early humans, right? So I feel like as an adolescent, we're just very basic, very early human. Like I need acceptance. Where is my tribe? Where are my people that I can band with for survival, right? So those are like your friends, the coming of age. These people, I have their back, they have my back. This is my core group, right? Oh, I need a mate. Like we got to keep this thing going. Like who's your mate? And then like food and shelter, right? Like those are like the only things. Whose house are we going to take over? Yep. Hanging out. Who's bringing the drugs because that was the food at the time?
Yeah.
And who is your mate and who are your friends? Like I feel like it was very basic human, and those were the only things that mattered to me anyway. I'm talking about like teenage, you know, 14 through 18, 19. Those were the only things that really mattered. None of this outer layer stuff was
I think
important.
you're right too, of like I feel like teenage life is a lot about achievement. Like I've come to this after like this consisted through college, because it was like I need to get to the degree, I need to like be the best thing I can do. You need to like, it's all these moments that you're like striving towards. And settling now into like adulthood has been like a 6-year journey of like, oh, like the achievement is just like keeping this train rolling.
Yep.
Like
it's not
I got married. Like that was the last achievement that I did that was big. And it's been a year now of just like, yeah, just make sure that doesn't fall apart. Like, oh, we have a job. Let's just make sure we keep that thing.
Just keep it up, man.
I think adulthood is a series of trains that you're just shoveling coal into the fire. And I say that lovingly. Like I love adulthood, where it's like, oh yeah, hey, I see life now as less of a video game where I'm trying to beat every level, and more of a like, oh, okay, this is just what I am now, and I got to make sure I stay that way. Like, I don't know. What do you all think?
Yeah.
Less
of a Super Mario, more of a keeping your farm on Minecraft going.
Yeah, farm sim. We're in a farm sim now. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has spoken to that already kind of tonight, in some way or another. But yeah, it does feel when you're younger, things take a different priority level. Like Alyssa said in her debate, I believe, or not her debate, but early in the panel, just you don't have as many things to think about based upon whatever structures are sort of like above you, making sure you have food and shelter. So once food and shelter is taken care of, that really is when most of humanity's problems begin. Because then we're just like, well, what the fuck do I do with this energy and this intelligence? Like I'm good. So I'm going to go do something else now. And then we go fucking bananas in all kinds of different directions. We don't know what to do. And that is kind of adulthood in a lot of ways, like, because frankly, we didn't used to live that much past like the cast of Stranger Things right now. You know, they'd be reaching as old as humans used to live back in those days. And I do not mean the cast as they appear on screen at age 19. I mean Dustin, 25. Like 25-year-old Dustin might be going on his last mammoth hunt today if he was going. You know,
What?
he's lost a step.
Yeah, season 1 Stranger Things could have been a midlife crisis. All right.
Which
I don't know.
explains why Nancy crawled into the gaping pile of goo.
I don't know if this is what Alyssa was about to say, but I think Dustin
not.
would survive another couple mammoth hunts like that. That boy would get
You think Dustin's still got his fastball?
Oh, he's gonna be an elder. He's gonna be like a 65-year-old village elder for sure.
He's
Saying
badass.
something.
He's like the wise man.
He's a wise man.
Yeah,
we have time.
So he doesn't have that term. Actually, wait, isn't Will the wise or something?
Will is Will the Wise, indeed.
Yeah, so never mind.
I do think I have one more pretentious question. Hopefully it'll be fast because I know we're coming up on time. But
Speed
this is the
round.
pretentious question of the week is not that pretentious this week, I don't think. But it does have to do with canon, which is kind of a pretentious topic that many disagree on. But I do think there is a teenage literature, teenage stories are definitely a different type of canon because it shifts ever more as we change kind of the way we read things. I recently finished Count of Monte Cristo, and the introduction is the author is like, I was talking to a Russian filmmaker, telling the Russian filmmaker that I was translating the Count of Monte Cristo, and her response was, "Oh, lovely, a children's novel." And it's like, not a children's novel, definitely not. Very hard book, but maybe back then, maybe to that incredibly intelligent Russian filmmaker it was. So I think it's always a shifting thing of like what is in the canon of young adult literature, and what do we consider maybe from our time will be the greats when we think of books to introduce to grandchildren or great grandchildren or things that will be read to a younger audience in the future as we continue forward. Alyssa, we'll start with you, but yeah, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I don't have this like super academic take on this, to be honest. Like when people say like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, I feel like that when it comes to writing a lot of times. Like I want to be entertained, I want to have fun, and I want reading to be fun. I don't always want to sit there and learn something. And I don't think my kids do either. In my house, R.L. Stein will live on forever. So, nice. Yeah, I mean, do we have some classics?
Hell yeah.
I definitely do. There's some Jane Austen on the shelf. There's definitely some Bronte on my shelf, but R.L. Stein's like it because it covers middle grade and YA, because there's also Fear Street. And for me, obviously, horror sparks the most feeling, the most emotion. It kind of covers so many bases for me. So yeah, it's King R.L. Stein.
I think to your point, I can see, maybe not to your point, but like I think to the point of the question is I can see R.L. Stein being like a Penguin classic far enough in the future. Because like you can't deny the effect that Stein's had on like the literature world. Like I read him. I have so many friends that read them, and at the time when we were reading them, they were like modern. But like you say, you're introducing them now to your kids. I bet your kids hopefully will introduce them to their kids. And I think we think of Austen as this like classic, but part of that I think is time, and I think Stein might get that special edition fancy cover eventually. But Clay or Jeremy?
I mean, I know the things that I'm going to that I would pass on to future little Hudsons aren't things that we would now think of as being only kids' books or shows or whatever. I'm going to pass on the things that like are certainly accessible to kids, but like they have something that make them deeper than that, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or anything else in that same thing, where like you can consume this as a child and just have a hell of a good time and then watch it or read it or whatever as an adult, and it'll just keep giving you more the more you consume it. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that answer of Avatar. I think that's a great choice. If we were going to pick books exclusively, I would say I hope that A Series of Unfortunate Events survives to the next generation. I don't know that it will, but I remember having a really good time reading old Lemony Snicket. And that was kind of a nice intro to horror for me as a kid, you know, because it was dark and it was an introduction to true stakes in a story. And I'm still a sucker to those for those to this day, like really believable, relatable stakes that are also extreme. But Lemony Snicket didn't mess around. I mean, he killed everybody. So it was kind of like, man, you had to learn to let go of characters as you read, and that probably had a big influence on me, because I still value that in a story when you truly do have to do that. Something about Stranger Things. I hate that Hopper's still alive. I hate it so much. Come on. Like, you get to tear jerk me at the end and then you're going to bring him back. That's some fucking soap opera shit, and I'm not here for it. I still have enjoyed season 4, but I wasn't happy with that development.
If Jon Snow could come back, Hopper can.
That's actually pretty different to me, because there was established in-world lore that you could revive someone and she was there, you know? And like Jon Snow, I agree. I think Jon Snow should have died as well. But him coming back makes it. Hopper, he just dove away? But they literally showed us people just getting actually disintegrated. And that grating floor that he was on, that he held on to during a nuclear explosion. As someone who has held on to things, it just ain't happening. So he's either fallen to his death or he's getting turned into gelatin like those other people.
Not for you, but for Hopper, he's making it.
Yeah. Hopper's just like, what ifs? And he just like army rolls out of it. Like, I know he's a veteran and everything, but like still
energy, man.
I just don't. Maybe that's it. I don't have main character energy. I would have just been one of those Russian scientists. I would have just wandered in and got obliterated, and everybody forgets I existed.
You know who would have survived? Alyssa would have survived because she's the whole vibe. So
she's the initial vibe. I did put it in the ticker.
Vibe 1, yeah.
Vibe 1. I'm gonna say the Redwall series and keep it brief.
The Redwall series is great. I would also say Scooby Doo will echo through the ages.
Oh yeah,
probably. Yeah.
The kids hate Scooby Doo.
They hate Scooby Doo.
Scandal.
I know.
But
it's upsetting. It's upsetting as hell.
Why do they hate it?
I don't know. My youngest is like, she just won't. She won't do it. And me, my sister, and I. Oh man, we love Scooby Doo.
I had an 8th grader say to me the other day, to my face, that the worst Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and I was like, get out, get out.
It's time to pump your brakes, right? What did you just say?
Yeah, it was bad.
That's not true.
No, it was.
That's
bad.
a great Spider-Man.
I'm not going to go into my thoughts there, but I wanted.
He's an all right.
Attention is what I wanted to give. It was bad. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is goated. So that's all I got for questions. We got to rank this thing.
We do.
And our arbitrary ranking system is exactly that: arbitrary, stupid, completely bonkers. It's how many drinks does it take to fully enjoy Stranger Things season 1? Let's start with you, Jeremy. Give us your ranking. What do you think?
Depending on how strong the vibe carries for you, I'm gonna say 2 to 5 per episode. Just because, maybe you need help not being distracted by what exactly Eleven's powers should be capable of before she starts bleeding. I don't know. Maybe
this is what Jeremy was talking about just watching it completely differently.
Yeah. Just watch it completely different. I don't know, man.
I did not see it from that perspective.
Maybe you just just have enough to ride the vibe, and you'll be okay. You won't wonder to yourself like, "Hey, why did she just crawl into a throbbing wet hole?"
The way
That's
you say that
fine.
is very intentional.
I think he's trying to
Yeah.
force that one onto a T-shirt a little bit. It's not going to happen.
I'm not
bud.
trying to do
It
anything.
didn't
That's
bite.
what the hole was the whole time.
Throbbing and
It
wet.
throbbed and it was wet.
Okay.
It's true.
And I think we all need to confront that.
It also glowed.
It did glow a bit. A glowing, throbbing, wet hole.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Just stick with that wording. You know, let it
2 drinks per
come into
episode.
yourself.
2 drinks per episode is the answer. Is that right?
2 to 5.
Okay, 2 to 5.
5, depending on your vibe.
Okay,
So
depending on
that's
the vibe.
16 to 40. That's a big
Yeah.
difference. All right.
That's a
The
pretty nice
episodes-
spectrum you've
yeah.
created. 16 to 40. 2 per
I
episode is
wanna,
reasonable.
I want to be accommodating, you know?
Mm.
Fair enough. Clay?
I think you can go in 2 directions. If you prefer to drink, then 1 to 3 is what I would say per episode. I think 1 can definitely do it for some episodes, depending on what you like, and you might need 2 or 3 on certain episodes. So you should have some variance there. But you should never be doing. I can't imagine drinking 5 beers in an episode of Stranger Things. It's like 40-minute episodes. That's bananas.
Yeah.
You'd have to just be slugging it. And there's maybe only 1 episode I can think of where I'd want that many. Accommodate yourself if you need to in those circumstances. The lifeguard episode, I could have slugged so many of them. But, I would have took probably an episode or 2 off after that.
Okay.
So yeah, I would just say 1 to 3. And then if you don't prefer to drink and you want to really enjoy the show, I think just like a gram of mushrooms per 2 episodes would be a good way to go. That's not enough to make you like trip balls. That's just enough to like make you fuzzy. And this show would be really fun if you were fuzzy.
Yes. I'm going to say I don't even have to be front and center. Mine's quick. Drink when Hopper does.
Boom. Done.
Or when Hopper seems drunk, drink. That's the
Okay.
show. That's it.
That's actually kind of fun because you'll start really fast and then you'll kind of coast down.
Yeah.
And he drinks less and less as he's killing people more often.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, there's my own ranking. Alyssa?
Yeah, I think you guys kind of had it right around that 2 spot. I think anything more than that, you might start to get totally lost in what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I would anyway. I would start overthinking, and I'd get lost exactly with like the whole hole in the tree. Yeah, I would say 2 drinks.
2 drinks.
Enough to ride the vibe, like you said. Anything after that, you're not going to know what the hell's going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great vibe ride movie, and we hope you've enjoyed the vibe tonight, riding along with it with us. Alyssa, we've certainly enjoyed riding with you. Can you tell the good people of Fermented Fiction one more time who you are, what you do, where they can find you, where you want them to find you?
My name is Alyssa Alessi. I write all types of weird horror fiction for all ages. You can find me on Instagram at Pages in the Graveyard, or you can follow my book fair event, the Spooktastic Book Fair, also on Instagram.
Nice. I do want to add in, Clay, before you completely take us out, please. We love doing this for free. We love having amazing guests on like Alyssa. But if you really want to help us out a little bit, go on to our Patreon Fermented Fiction. And we have many tiers for many folks, $5 to $30. $30 is going to get you a bunch of extremely cool things like an invitation to a writer's retreat, actual appearance on a real episode to talk to one of your favorite authors, maybe like Alyssa. $5 is going to get you an invitation to a Discord, one of Clayton's books, and a t-shirt. So we got something for everybody. We'd love to see you over there. Again, we will keep doing this for free, but it'd be really nice to get paid.
Yes, you can't stop us. All right. But you could help us. So, why not do the thing that you can do rather than the thing that you can't? Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on the show. You were an awesome
Thank
guest.
you guys.
Hell yeah. Thank you, everybody. This has been Fermented Fiction. Please do go to the Patreon, go to the social medias. We will put Alyssa's information in the social media, and you should definitely check out her page. She very regularly does book recommendations and things like that, and has an awesome event that you can go to if you happen to be in the northeast part of the country. We'll see you next time, next week. Thank you for being here.
Goodbye.